Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast, the show that delves into the reasons we love to choose, wrap and share gifts with each other. Hi, I'm your host Eve Kale, founder of Gift Wrapped by Eve, and I'm on a mission to help you experience the joy of gift giving while also considering the planet. Each episode I'll be sharing ideas or interviewing guests who will help inspire your choice of gifts and how you present them. Whether that's for your own gifts or products you create or sell in your small business, will help you consider how to make small changes that can help your gifting be a little greener. Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast, Rachel Slyfield. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's brilliant that you were able to come on and have a chat with me. We've known each other for quite a while now and been working together for a while as well, but it's really great that you could be one of my first guests on the podcast, and really excited about our conversation. Would you like to share with the listeners all about you? And let's start with
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It is very exciting to be one of your first guests. So I've been really looking forward to this. So I am Rachel. I have previously collaborated with Eve on quite a few projects. Most recently, we did the Mother's Day gift boxes collaboration in March. So I run Rachel's 3 R's, which is a subscription box membership designed specifically for SEN mums to help them escape and unwind and take time out regularly and consistently. And I run this in collaboration with 3 other small businesses. So everything about the box is from a small business, even down to the boxes themselves now. And I buy the tissue paper from Eve, even like down to the stickers. Literally everything is bought from a small business. I don't buy anything at wholesale. And that is the kind of ethos of my boxes, as well as encouraging you to take time out. It's also supporting other small businesses. And in fact, all the small businesses, and this is just a complete by accident, this wasn't planned. We are all women in business supporting our families as well, which I think makes it really, really special. And I've been doing it for just over 2 years. It was 2 years in March. So just absolutely loving it and being on this journey.
Fantastic. Wow. We've known each other for around that sort of length of time, haven't we? And it's been amazing to see like you launch things and just how you've evolved what you're doing. So tell us a bit more about what are the boxes like? Are they obviously this podcast is about like talking about gifts and things like that. So is it the kind of thing that people choose as a gift? What's in the boxes? Can you explain a bit more about that?
Every box, so each box is themed, and I don't reveal the exact contents until after that specific box has gone out, but you always know the theme. In every single box, you always get an Osborne influence related activity. So sometimes that is a young adult fiction book, sometimes it's a colouring book. We have even done things like optical illusion cards. We have done magic painting, so it could be a whole host of different things from Osborne. You then get a Scentsy wax melt sample, which we try and match the scent of that to the scent of anything else in the box, or generally within the theme. You get a full-size Temple Spa product from me, because I'm also a Temple Spa sales consultant, which again all fits in around the theme. And then you also get access to masterclasses and guided meditations. And then every month you get 2 new masterclasses and 1 new guided meditation added into the library. And then obviously you've got all the previous ones as well. You also get an online pump session with me, which is using the Temple Spa product in your boxes. So the idea is to get you to use the products and give you different ways of using them. And that's kind of how they work. So, I like to kind of think outside of the box a little bit for the themes and also the contents as well. So they are varied. And then once a quarter, I introduce an additional small business into the membership. So last month, we had my lovely friend Keely, who teaches crochet. And she put a little ball of yarn in and a needle and a stitch marker, and she did an amazing masterclass about how to crochet your own face pad rather than using a cotton pad. And we included enough yarn for 2 face pads so people could really get into it. And it was just brilliant. And I just loved it. And I quite often will have a go myself as well. So all the boxes are giftable.
Yeah.
But I will do seasonal gift boxes. So, like last month, I had the Mother's Day gift boxes, which was my collab with Eve. I will be doing teacher thank you boxes again this year. I did those last year. So, throughout the year, when we have like common gifting times, I will create mini boxes specifically for that. But obviously, you can buy them for whatever. But each box is giftable because you can either opt to buy it as a one-off box,
Yeah.
or you can go into a subscription.
Gift subscription. Yeah.
So it's always quite limited stock. I generally don't really have more than 1 or 2 boxes of each theme, but quite a few people have, bought them for gifts because there is the opportunity to leave a gift note, and I handwrite it in a little card, and I can send it straight to the recipient if that's what you want me to do, which is quite a nice way because quite often people will say to me, oh, well, I'd never buy this for myself, but I would buy it for a friend. So, yeah.
That's really interesting that people say that. So let's talk a bit about giving gifts to yourself, because I think the concept of what you've created is brilliant, because I think quite often I certainly, when I talk to people about gift giving, they're talking about the things that they are planning for other people. I mean, obviously that's the nature of giving gifts. Normally you're thinking about what you're going to give to other people, but a lot of care and attention, particularly sort of busy mums, and obviously I talk to lots of busy mums who are like running businesses as well. So we're constantly thinking about other people. We're planning what the next birthday gift is, or the next thing we're doing, Easter or whatever. But your sort of concept is about actually treating yourself, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously people can buy them as gifts, but you're really kind of focusing in on helping people to help themselves a bit. So
it's really interesting because there's almost this narrative, which isn't as strong now as it was when I first created the business, that like you don't treat yourself and you've just got to keep going and you buy gifts for other people that you wouldn't buy for yourself. And it's all about the hustle culture and you just got to keep going and keep going. And it would be nice to have 5 minutes to yourself, but the chances are you're not going to get that, and it's just part and parcel of being a mum. And what I've created kind of just flips that completely. And it's interesting when I've got, people in the subscription and they're saying to me, actually, this is amazing because I'm actually taking that time. I talk a lot about simple, sustainable self-care. So typically in 5-minute chunks. And the amount of people who will initially tell me that 5 minutes isn't enough, but then I'll just say, just humour me and just do 5 minutes every day. And then they will come back to me and say, I feel amazing. It's because they've been having dedicated time for themselves every single day, regardless of the length of that time. But the fact that they are putting themselves first, and it's not selfish to do that, actually. If you don't do that, that's when you go into burnout. And the feedback from that was just incredible. And somebody had said to me that they thought that the products would be their favourite thing in the boxes, but actually it's the masterclasses, it's the guided meditation, it's the membership side of it, why that is really amazing for her and stands out more than the actual products, which is really interesting from a business point of view. Because when I first created the business, a lot of people would say to me, like, you don't need to do the masterclasses, people don't expect it, other people don't do it. But it was something that I really wanted to do. I wanted to give something extra. So to get that feedback was incredible. And knowing that people are watching the masterclasses, they're implementing them, they are just using this as part of their everyday life. It's just incredible. And I just think, everybody needs something like that. And in 2025, people are becoming more receptive to this idea. I'm definitely seeing a lot less like hustle culture online, but there is kind of the same underpinning of, but this is what happens when you're a mum. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, I think like picking up on what you're sort of saying, it's really interesting because I think the physical nature of the fact that you receive a box is maybe what triggers people to want
Yeah.
to purchase it or to gift it. But actually it's more than that. And actually the experience side of the gift, whether it's to yourself or to someone else, that experience side of things is actually what is like more, yeah, worth more valuable. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I think you see this I see this in my children at Christmas time, that they love, or certainly when they're younger, they love the excitement of the box and the pile of presents, and the bigger the better, and the opening of all the
Mm,
boxes. But actually over the last few years we've started to give them experience gifts quite often, and
mm,
initially there was a little bit of, they weren't so excited about opening these gifts. And I have done some things to kind of make it more interesting for them to open. But I think it's really interesting because as we kind of like the excitement of opening something, but actually that isn't always what we want or need. That's really interesting. So tell me about the physical. What do the boxes actually look like when people receive them? Have you considered how that is kind of part of the reveal of what's in them and that kind of thing? How does that work?
yeah. So I now have purple boxes because my branding is all purple.
Yeah.
They have a sticker on with my logo. And then everything else is plastic free. So I just use tissue paper, usually from Eve, the purple one with the gemstones on, which I love. And I don't add anything more to it because I don't think it needs it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you open it and you have got your Usborne, you've got your Temple Spa, you've got your wax melt sample. I do put flyers in as well from each of the small businesses, just to give you a bit of an overview of how to use it or what it's for. And then there will always be QR codes on each flyer to direct you to that person's socials.
When people get the box, though, they don't know what's in it. Is that right?
Yeah, they
Mystery.
don't know the exact contents. They know the theme,
Right.
but they
Okay.
don't know the exact contents.
So, oh,
Words.
so that's the anticipation of, oh, I know my box
Yeah.
is coming. It's going to be this theme, but I don't know what's in it. So there is that gift,
Yeah.
that mystery is woven into what you're doing, which is fantastic. Yeah, because we all love a bit of a surprise, don't we? Yeah, when you receive gifts yourself, do you like a surprise gift, or do you like to drop hints? Um, and
I do really like a surprise. But I'm also a big fan of, there is no point in buying something for somebody that they're not going to like. So
yeah,
if somebody says, this is what I would like, because even if I said, this is something that I would like as a gift, the chances are I'm going to forget that I've told you that anyway by the time
yeah,
and even if I haven't, I still feel that excitement when I'm opening it and finding out what it is. So yeah, I say a bit of both. But yeah, it was a tough decision really about how to do the boxes, whether I did it as a surprise or whether I told people what was in it.
mm,
But I feel like the anticipation adds something to them. And I like to think now that I've got the purple boxes, that when somebody sees that the purple box has arrived, then that excitement starts to build even before you've opened the box because you know it's from me.
yes, I agree. I think that because obviously you've sent me things because we've done collaborations on things, and I've had a box myself. I treated myself to a box, and I think the purple really does. Yeah, it stands out, and it's from you. I agree. I think that's a really brilliant addition. Yeah. So when it comes to giving gifts yourself, what kind of occasions do you give? Do you generally give gifts for to other people?
Well, we've just had Mother's Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now that might not always be a physical gift. It might be like taking my mum out for lunch or something like that. But I did buy her a physical gift this year, which I wrapped in purple tissue paper. Which is another bonus of running a business. You've always got the gift wrap. So yeah, so things like Mother's Day, birthdays, teacher gifts. I did do a couple of different teacher gifts last year because Teddy, my son, has 2 TAs that look after him throughout the week. So they had a little gift last year.
Yeah.
Obviously Christmas and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, loads of occasions, aren't there? I think teaching and saying thank you to people features highly when you've got children at primary school, doesn't it? It's there's always somebody to thank.
Yeah.
And do you enjoy the process of choosing gifts?
Yeah, I do now that I've got myself a bit more organised, so I've got more time to think about it, and it's not a big rush. Also, I've always got presents because I run a business that's based on self-care and looking after yourself, which for the majority of my gifts is also perfect for gifting to friends and families. Yeah, so that sometimes makes it a little bit easier, because sometimes I will give them a box that I've already got. But yeah, I do quite like just like thinking about what that person might like, and putting, if I make a box with lots of different things in, putting them all together. I love wrapping with tissue paper. I discovered wrapping with tissue paper only fairly recently, well, maybe a year ago, and I discovered that my son, who's now 5, could open the presents a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I just find it from a wrapping point of view so much easier, so much quicker. So now I wrap pretty much everything in tissue paper. And yeah, and I love doing that. I did advent calendars last year and the year before. I individually wrapped each gift in tissue paper, which made it so much easier with tissue paper rather than with the traditional gift wrap that's a bit thicker. So yes, if you have got young children and you are worried about whether they'll be able to open it up, then definitely try tissue paper because it is such a game changer.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. Also considering when you wrap something, considering who's going to be opening it and how
Yeah.
physically, what's easiest. Yeah, I definitely think that's definitely a really good point. Glad that you found tissue paper to be helpful, and it is really great for speed, isn't it, when you're rolling things up,
Yes.
especially with those advent calendars. Like there's so many small little things to wrap. Definitely
Yeah.
good for speed. Absolutely. And do you think you enjoy wrapping more because of finding that solution?
Yes, definitely. And I think having a stash of stuff specifically really helps because then I'm not rushing out to try and find things. I know I've got a box of cards with various different messages in them. I know that I've always got tissue paper, I've always got gift wrap. I've usually always got some gift tags as well. So just knowing that I've got that and I've not got to rush out and buy something that I don't really want to buy because it's full of plastic or whatever, but needs must, just makes you think differently about it. And then you've got time to enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, isn't it? It's allowing yourself the time. And you sound like you're somebody who likes to plan ahead, plan when you're going to be
Yeah.
organising gifts and wrapping them. And yeah, well, you know that I'm a big advocate of that. And you're right, it's just having the mindset that the wrapping is part of the process, and allowing yourself time to enjoy it. I definitely agree that that's really important. Otherwise, you feel rushed and
Yeah.
yeah, it sort of taints the process of giving, doesn't it? Yeah. Do you have any rituals or traditions of when it comes to wrapping, either for gifts throughout the year or, obviously at Christmas there's a lot more wrapping?
Yeah. With Christmas, I tend to wrap as I go, but then obviously try and remember to write on the gift tag who it's for.
Yeah.
And I will kind of cross it off on my list because I found, especially for presents for my son, they can be quite big, quite bulky, and can sometimes take a bit of time to wrap. So if I just do it as I go, then it just feels like it doesn't take, I don't really want to sit there for 2 hours and do all the wrapping. I just want to do a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And I don't get fed up as quickly. And yeah, as for rituals, I'm not sure. So I've got a page in my planner actually with like birthdays and things like that, and throughout the year when I will need to buy things for people and who those people are, so I can see at the beginning of every month how many birthdays I've got. Have I got enough cards? Have I got enough gifts? Because some people, I'll just buy them a card, some people have a gift as well. So that really helps me to kind of stay on track, be a bit more organised, so that I don't get that big rush and then I'm buying things that I don't want to buy because I've just run out of time. But obviously I am human, and that does happen, but it doesn't happen as much as it used to.
That's really handy to have that in the planner already. So it's there and yeah, fits into what else you're already. There's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? Either you need to have something that is where you're already planning everything so you notice it, or in our house we've also got a separate calendar with all the occasions on, so that the occasions don't get buried in the calendar with all the stuff on. So the multiple ways of remembering things is probably the way to go.
If you've got a Google Calendar, I think if you put something in that and you tell it that it's a birthday, it will remind you every year.
Yeah.
And you can like schedule when you want the reminder for, whether you want it a week before or 2 weeks before or the day before. So I use that as well as my my physical planner. But yeah.
That's a really good suggestion, actually. Yeah, that's a really good way when it reminds you in advance, because actually you don't want to be reminded the day before.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really good tip. Have you got any particular gift memories that stand out for you, for maybe a gift, a special gift that you've chosen for someone or something that you've received yourself?
I'm not sure. I love giving gifts to my son because he's just so, with him being 5, he is just so excited. Like I said before, quite often his gifts tend to be quite big because they're toys and things like that. So I just love the excitement that I get from him, the anticipation when he's opening everything, because I then all of a sudden forget what I bought.
Yeah.
And just seeing that joy on his face. And then in a similar way, when I receive feedback from the boxes, whether that's from someone who's bought the box for themselves or whether it's a gift and the recipient of that gift has, reached out to me and said what an amazing surprise it was. I recently sent somebody a birthday gift, which included lots of different things in a box. And she just sent me the loveliest message. And she was like, it was totally unexpected. I didn't expect it, but it was just so lovely to receive it. And you've put so many lovely things in it. And I just get so much joy from that.
Yeah.
More so from giving rather than receiving. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's really lovely to hear, isn't it? When you've hit the spot with whatever you've chosen and thought about
Yes.
somebody. Yeah, that's brilliant. So my mission is to help people experience the joy of gift giving whilst also considering the planet. So you've talked a little bit about some of the ways you've done that, but do you take being greener into consideration with your gifting or your wrapping?
Yeah, I do now. I didn't used to until I made the switch to paper tape. So previously, I tried paper tape and I just found it wasn't very sticky. And I was like, this isn't really going to work. And my view of being eco-friendly was brown paper, and it's all really boring and there are no bright colours, and obviously that is not the case anymore. And I tried the paper tape and I was like, this is brilliant. I find it more sticky than plastic tape. And then I was using a lot of parcel tape when I send my boxes out, but it was always a catch-22. Because I needed the boxes to be secure and I needed them to arrive in one piece, but I didn't really want plastic tape on them. And then I discovered that I could find paper parcel tape,
Yeah.
which is brilliant. And I use that on absolutely everything now. It's the one thing that people always ask me about when they get their boxes is, where did you get this tape from? It is incredible. And yeah, I just love using them. So now I will pretty much always use either tissue paper or gift wrap.
Yeah.
And I just much prefer using paper tape.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. I love it when people make the switch and then they can't wait to tell other people about it because they realize actually it's a really easy way to just, make a bit of a change. So yeah,
Mm.
I loved hearing that. That's brilliant. And how about with gifts? Do you think about like planet friendly options when it comes to gifts?
Yeah, I quite often use sites like Vinted. I have a rule with gifts for my son in that if I'm buying him a gift that is plastic, then I will buy it secondhand.
Okay.
I never buy him new plastic toys, and I encourage other members of my family and friends to do the same.
Amazing.
So pretty much all of his Christmas presents were bought from Vinted.
Mhm.
Um, and some of them were even brand new from there. So I will do things like that. Um, and kind of being eco-friendly has always been, a part of me when I had him, when he was first born, up until probably about 2. He wore cloth nappies. I would use reusable wipes and things like that.
Wow.
It's always been important to me. But I think with gift wrap, I just didn't realise that there was so much plastic in there.
Mm.
And when you've got the really nice, what you might see as the really nice gift wrap with all the glitter on and all the rest of it, that there is so much plastic in that. And I just didn't realise. So, yeah. So once I did realise, I was like, well, I can definitely do something about this. This is going to be a really easy swap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think that's a great story. I think you're right. It isn't, if you're not even aware of something, then how can you make a change? So I'm on this
Yeah.
mission to just share what we can do and share how easy it is just to make these small swaps. And then if we all did it, we'd have a massive impact. So
Totally.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today, Rachel. It's been brilliant chatting to you about gifting in your business and in your personal life as well. It's been absolutely brilliant. But make sure before we go that you can tell people where they can come and find you if they want to find out more about your amazing business and your boxes that they can either buy for themselves or gift to somebody else. Where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I am Rachel Slyfield on Facebook. I've got a Facebook group which is called Escape and Unwind with Rachel's 3 R's. And then on Instagram, I am at Rachel's 3 R's subscription box.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll put all of those details in the show notes as well so people can find where you are. And I encourage you to go and check out what Rachel's up to because what she's doing is absolutely fantastic. Everybody needs a purple box in their life, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast. For free resources, head to giftwrapbyeve.com/freebies. And follow Eve on socials at giftwrapbyeve on Instagram and Facebook.